All In Sports Network. We love sports.
All right, welcome back to All in Mizzou with Rogue Media. My name's Davis Wilson. It is Wednesday afternoon. Hope you're enjoying your Wednesday. I am certainly enjoying my Wednesday as I've got a really fun episode coming. My buddy Adam Busack is in the studio with me. Well, not with me physically. He's in Colorado, but he is here in the virtual vicinity. And
Spiritually, I'm with you.
Spiritually, he's always with me. Today, yeah. Anyway, Adam, I appreciate you coming on. You actually have a real job and work to do, so I know this is more difficult to carve out some time in your day to do this. So I appreciate you making time for me.
Yeah, of course, always a pleasure. For those of you who are less familiar with Davis's older work, he and I shared the Mizzou football beat together when we were both students at the University of Missouri. Yeah. And as it tends to happen, we spent a lot of time talking Mizzou football.
We did, yeah.
And I suppose we're doing that again today, huh?
Yeah, we're going to do some of that again today. I was going to kind of just see a temperature check with Adam is what I was going to call it. But
I like it.
You are, like I mentioned, you're in Colorado and you're covering sports for the Daily Sentinel in Grand Junction. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. The Grand Junction Daily Sentinel, which Grand Junction, for those unfamiliar, is kind of right on the border between Colorado and Utah.
All right.
Kind of the middle of nowhere.
How are things going for you there?
It's been great. We're just starting football season. I'm getting back into covering. We don't have a D1 college out here, but we got a D2 college, Colorado Mesa. Okay. And so I've been doing a lot of coverage with them. And the difference between the D1 game and the D2 game is very, very stark. The Mavericks, Rumble Mavs, just won last weekend with their starting quarterback, Liu Ayamave, who is a transfer from San Diego State, believe it or not.
Okay.
He passed for less than 50 yards in the game. And not only did they win, but they won handily. I don't really think that would fly in D1. Would you agree with that?
Not anymore. Maybe in the 1930s with the wishbone and the whatever.
We're bringing back the wing tee.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What were the rushing numbers in that game?
Oh, boy. I would have to pull up the stats. We can talk about this after the show. I know this is a Mizzou show, so we don't need to get too deep into the weeds.
50 passing yards. Yeah. That's pretty impressive. Speaking of quarterbacks, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I just saw on Twitter some unfortunate Missouri quarterback news. Sam Horn, Pete Thamel reported, Mizzou's best friend Pete Thamel reported that Sam Horn is out for the year. Is this guy the most unlucky Mizzou athlete you can remember when it comes to injuries?
I mean, when it comes to injuries, almost certainly.
He's got to be. I think people forget he came in as like a 4-star, like top 200 recruit and has started 0 games for Missouri. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, he has yet to start a game for Missouri. And I think, when he came in, he was a very highly touted prospect. I think him being a two-way or a two-sport prospect, it kind of threw off how big of a deal he was from a football recruiting perspective, because at that time, getting a 4-star quarterback was a really big deal in Mizzou, right? That wasn't something that we did yet. This was Drink's real first recruiting win, I think, in a lot of ways. And obviously it hasn't panned out for Horn yet because of the emergence of Brady Cook, because they didn't necessarily trust him going into this offseason. And I think he hasn't really progressed as a passer very much. So I understand why they were concerned with him. But boy, you talk about unlucky. That guy he cannot catch a break. Now, as far as how much that changes Missouri's season-long outlook, I'm not sure that it's that huge of a deal. Mm-hmm. But you still got to feel for the guy. This is somebody that coming out of high school, he was the quarterback for Travis Hunter in high school. And I think, kind of got a lot of attention because of that. You have a 4-star quarterback and a 5-star receiver. People are going to pay attention to that. And he looked like he was going to be, kind of the next man up to inherit that quarterback gig. Yeah. And it just hasn't panned out, unfortunately.
Yeah, such a strange deal. I remember when Drinkwitz landed him because I thought it was strange because he's out of Georgia. He's not even a Missouri kid. And I remember when I started going to Mizzou in 2021, everybody was really excited about like Tyler Macon, who was a 3-star quarterback. And that was a big deal that we had Tyler Macon. And then you get Sam Horn, and it's a very big deal. And yeah, just has not panned out one bit for him. And I guess he's a Dodger. And so we've probably seen the last of him in a Missouri football uniform.
See, that I would 100% agree with that. I mean, I just don't see a way that he, after already signing a pro contract, comes back and tries this whole thing again. Like I think we've seen the last of Sam Horn, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree, especially with how the new quarterback, Bo Pribula, is playing. And I think he has even another year of eligibility if he wants to use it. I'm pretty sure.
I believe that's correct, yes.
Yeah. So,
of course, the way he's playing right now, I don't think that he's going to be inclined to stick around too long. He might be fast-tracking his way to the draft.
He might be,
which is crazy to think about. That was on nobody's radar going into this year.
No, absolutely not. We'll get into Bo in a little bit. I want to ask you about you were back in Columbia this weekend to see this Missouri-Kansas game. I tried to go. The tickets were nuts, and I just couldn't get it to work. But what was it? I mean, it's a game that Mizzou students have been waiting for over a decade now. Mm-hmm. What were your takeaways from just the atmosphere being back in Columbia? What was that like for you?
Oh man, that town was buzzing like something I haven't seen in years, really. I mean, the last time I think I saw the town this excited for a sporting event was when it would have been 2022, I suppose, when Georgia was coming to town as the number one team in the country.
Yep.
And even this surpasses that because this is a rivalry game that hasn't been played for forever. And I think there was, at least from an alumni perspective, so many people that traveled back for this game that a lot of them, like yourself, were priced out of even going to the games. There were so many people that flew all the way back to Columbia just to watch the game at a bar, just to watch it at, their friend's apartment or something. And that, I think, speaks to how invested this alumni base is in Mizzou football. That's not something that would have happened 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to think about the last time or the biggest buzz on campus when I was there. And I think you're right. It's probably that Georgia game where they were number one in 22.
And that's weird because Missouri really hadn't hit their stride yet. I mean, 2023 was the year that they as a program broke out of their shell. So this is the first time that there's been buzz for a game because Missouri's been good, not because the opponent come to town.
Yeah. Yeah, Missouri almost won that game. That was an interesting game.
It really was.
You're really about 3 yards short of probably winning that game. It was before Cody Schrader had become full Cody Schrader, and he was not. I mean, he got caught from behind, and
if he had finished that run, boy,
it's yeah. That place taken off into space with how wild.
So you mentioned noise, and I want to jump in a little bit. We'll get into the actual football playing in a little bit, but from my in-person experience there at the game, I want to talk a little bit about the noise because obviously the construction project going on in the north end zone is far from done, but they have the framework up, and you can kind of see where the walls are going to be. And even just with having like that preliminary layer of a barrier between the stadium and the outside world, I noticed it was so much louder in that stadium.
Really?
It was so much louder in that stadium than I had remembered in a long time. And I know there were a lot of folks in the press box saying that Mr. Brightside was maybe the loudest that they've ever heard that stadium. Mm-hmm. I think it maybe got louder for the Carter Ari fake field goal attempt. But Mr. Brightside was, oh man, my ears were hurting after that.
We're talking about that field goal attempt because they didn't show it to us on TV. I had to find out about it afterwards from people in the press box on Twitter. Mm-hmm. But I guess you were there and you saw it. You saw this happen.
I did see this happening. Yes. So this was during the
best story I've ever heard.
It was during commercial break, and they brought this fan out who had won like a giveaway on Instagram, I guess, to try a field goal basically for $25,000. And, when it's commercial entertainment during a media break, like you're half paying attention, but you're really not. And then they announced that the kick was going to be a 45-yard field goal attempt. And now I'm really paying attention, right? Because there's like 250 people in the world that can make like a 45-yard field goal.
Yeah,
like
especially in front of 60,000 people.
Correct. Yes, like that's a very difficult thing, even for professional athletes to do. I'm like, this guy has no shot. And as it turns out, the gentleman who's signed up to kick the field goal also felt the same way, because I didn't know this until after the fact. I didn't figure, like, I was sitting far enough away that I couldn't tell. Apparently, Mr. Ari has a prosthetic leg. So not only is it hard for anyone to kick this field goal, like there was just no chance. And it's a little cruel, frankly, they made him try out there and try from 45 in the first place. So
so what is Missouri thinking, sending him out? What kind of joke is
just
this?
setting him up to fail, man. Setting him up. So what he does instead of kicking this field goal, he lines up for the field goal from about, he takes his 4 steps back off to the left, whatever, and then he runs over to the other side of the ball, turns around, and kicks it towards the Kansas students, or towards the Kansas bench. And I think my whole section was like, oh, is this guy drunk? Like, what's going on? Like, this guy isn't even going to try. This guy, because again, I couldn't tell at this point that this guy is the prosthetic leg. Well, he then, walks towards the football, lifts up his shirt, and reveals the painting FKU, which is when I discovered, oh, this was planned. He knew exactly what he was doing. And that is what changed him from a crazy drunk guy to an inner circle Mizzou legend, I think, for a lot of people in the stands. And like I said, I was sitting on the east side of the stadium, so it was the opposite side from the press box. I don't know if you've been able to see from any of the videos, because his back was to the press box, but he really did get that shirt up, and you really could see every inch of FKU on his chest. Even from the upper half of the bowl, it was clear as day.
I mean, what a decision this guy made. And honestly, I mean, so I read the story that The Athletic did, and they got out a story really quickly. And the quote that they had him saying was, all I wanted to do was kick the ball as hard as I could at the Kansas football players. It's hilarious.
If that's not relatable, I don't know what is.
Yeah, no, exactly. And they have a picture here, and he does fully get all of it up. I mean, he's got FKU clear as day.
I was worried as he was getting walked off the field after this whole fiasco ensued. The poor Mizzou staffer that had walked him onto the field in the first place, I'm sure, was getting a million phone calls over her radio. And I was thinking that they were going to have to get police out and walk this poor guy out of the stadium. But no, as he was walking up the stairs from the section, people across the field were going into the stairs to hug the guy and high five him as he was walking. So I was like, okay, this guy's going to end up being scot-free for this. And I think that's awesome. We need more of this kind of stuff in college sports.
Yeah, I mean, that what an incredible move by this guy, Carter Airy. Really good work.
Former, I don't know if you saw this or not, former Mizzou wheelchair basketball player, former Rockbridge Bruin as well.
I didn't know he was a Rockbridge Bruin. I did see that he was a Mizzou alum basketball player, but I didn't know Rockbridge. That's cool.
Yeah, he's a townie apparently.
There you go. Well, so it really meant something to him. He was waiting for that moment his whole life, probably.
Yeah, no kidding.
Before we get into the game, actually, being back in Columbia, it had been a while since you'd been there, right?
Yes, it had. I had not been there since January.
All right. Did you get to any good restaurants or bars, or did you enjoy Columbia a little bit? Oh yeah.
I hit all the old haunts. I don't know if you know this or not. They renovated ITAP. Yeah.
No way.
The layout is different. That back room in the corner, it's got a pool table now. Very different. They also have slot machines in there. Never thought I'd see the day.
They've got slot machines.
And ITAP, yep, that's 100% correct.
My gosh, that's pretty incredible. I miss ITAP.
I'm sure it misses you as well.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so just generally, takeaways from this game. What did you like? And then, I mean, there was a lot you could like, but what did you? I also want to know what you disliked.
Yeah, let's start there because I think that list is much shorter. What I disliked was the first quarter. And I mean, obviously there was the fluky scoop and score for Kansas and them going up, 2 scores within the first, 10 minutes of the game, I think was not on anybody's bingo card. But I really liked how Mizzou responded. Last year, this was a problem for this team that when they got punched in the mouth, they kind of curled up in a ball and would go away. We saw this happen at Texas A&M. We definitely saw it happen at Alabama. And this year, they got punched in the mouth. And after that, outscored Kansas, what was it, 36-10, something like that. I mean, it was just a beat down in all facets of the game for the final 3 quarters. And I was very, very impressed by the response from Mizzou. I think the resiliency speaks to very good coaching that they got in the offseason. I think that was maybe an issue last year, but it's not a concern I have at all this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember. I think we had similar opinions. One thing that I noticed, the way they ended Habs last year was really a frustrating thing to watch.
Completely agree.
This year, it looked like it was going to be the same deal where they get that at the end of the first half when they're down by 3. Kansas, for some reason, doesn't get aggressive at all. They punt it back to Missouri. On the punt return, there's a block in the back, and then you get the big long run from Jamal Roberts. Then there's a false start, so it's like, golly, they're going to do this again where they just kick themselves.
The false start, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's like you're right there on field goal range, or maybe not with this Robert Meyer kid. I don't know. We still haven't really seen him, but
yeah, we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah. It's like you're right there in striking distance, and then there's a false start. And then they've somehow, I think this speaks more to the playmaking ability of this roster rather than the coaching. But, they figured out how to tie the game and almost take the lead. That was one thing where I was like, this feels different than what we watched last year, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think the poise of this team is much improved from where they were last season. I think the reason that that's improved is because you have, dare I say, more confidence in your quarterback this season than you did last season.
Yeah, I think that's –
dare I say it.
I think that's becoming very evident because, when Missouri signed Pribula, all of the information we had about him was that Penn State used him sometimes in running packages. He started one game against Wisconsin and threw for 80 yards or something. So it's like, this is like Brady Cook 2.0. They're going to want to run this guy. They'll hopefully maybe he has some sort of arm talent, but this is they're going to want to run this guy a lot. And they are Drinkwitz and Kirby Morris seem extremely comfortable and confident with the way that Pribula can run the offense. And this is kind of segueing into my next question for you, but like we've mentioned already, we both watched every game last year. We were, we had to know a lot about this team. And another thing that bothered, I think, both of us last year was at times the play calling and the inability to get the ball to Luther Burden and your playmakers. It seemed really conservative at times. This year, at least in these first 2 games and really just this Kansas game, the play calling I've been impressed with. They've been finding ways to get the ball to our new number 3 receiver. And has that stood out to you at all? Is this because you think they're just more confident in what Bo can do with his arm than they were with Brady Cook? Is that
I think plays a factor into it, certainly. And I think that a lot of the frustration last season with the inability to get the ball to Luther or make major plays with Luther came from the fact that a lot of the time when he was getting the ball, it was a designed run or a pitch or something like that, where he was getting the ball in the backfield. And then the onus was on him to make a couple misses before he had open field to really showcase what he's good at, right? That's what Luther Burden does well, is make people miss in the open field. If you had a quarterback that could get the ball to him 10, 15 yards down the field, he would have been a very high first-round pick, I think. And again, this is not to try and knock on Brady Cook, who I think in a lot of ways is a program legend and kind of gave all that he could for this program, but his talent level is just not that of what Bo Pribula has shown to this point in the season. There were some really, really nice throws that Bo made on Saturday that very much impressed me. I think the fourth down throw to Donovan Olagbodi down the right sideline was a fourth down throw. There was about 3 square inches he could have put that football into, and he found the exact pocket for it. Now, Donovan went up and made a great catch, and I want to highlight that as well. But the ball had to be there for him to make the catch in the first place, and that's just a throw that Brady Cook doesn't make. No. I caught myself thinking that 7, 8, 9 times on Saturday. These are throws that Brady Cook just doesn't make.
Yeah, absolutely. Bo is, I think Pro Football Focus is pretty good. It has its drawbacks or whatever, but they have him as the highest graded quarterback in the country right now, along with Diego Pavia. I mean, one thing
great company to have, by the way.
Yeah, which is good. But one thing that I've seen on social media among the Mizzou fan circles, people are asking, is this the best quarterback Missouri's had since Drew Lock? And I think it's been 2 games, but he looks like the best quarterback I've seen at Missouri, and I've only been watching since 2000. I watched in 2020 because I knew I was going to go to Missouri, but before that, and that was Bazelak. Throw that out the window. He's ineligible for this, but that's what I was going to say is being the best quarterback in Mizzou since Drew Lock is not a hard bar to clear. Right. Yeah.
Right? You gotta be better than Connor Bazelak, who ended up at Bowling Green after a stint. You got to be better than the aforementioned Tyler Macon, who I think was a backup at Alcorn State last I saw.
Kelly
Bryant had about half a season here, so yeah. Bo's already getting into that territory, I think. I mean, just games-wise, he's only 3 or 4 behind where Kelly Bryant was before he was injured and out for the year. So he's making progress there.
Yeah. I guess the question of this, is Bo the best quarterback since Drew Lock? It's another way of asking, is Bo better than Brady Cook, essentially? And I think we've kind of discussed that. And just by talent, I think he is. Brady had he had an element of just being like a total warrior and kind of refused to lose a couple games for Missouri, but he absolutely had drawbacks with his arm talent.
And he had physical limitations for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I think, right now, Bo is absolutely looking like the best quarterback Missouri's had in about a decade, maybe.
Yeah. And again, to be fair to the guy, he's only started 2 games for the Tigers. One of them was against Central Arkansas. The other was against a bad Kansas team. And I want to be clear, this was a bad Kansas team.
Yeah.
So we really aren't going to know what we have in him until a couple of weeks from now when you get your first SEC game. South Carolina, a difficult test.
Yeah.
I'm going to reserve judgment on Bo until then, I think, because I've seen, as you mentioned, a lot of stuff. PFF graded him so highly. I don't know if you follow Bill Conley, but by SP Plus, he was the best quarterback in the SEC through 2 games this year. And I'm just not sure that he's that. I think Bo's good, but I haven't seen it against high enough competition yet that I'm ready to fully christen him, I think. That being said, the other part of my brain grapples with the idea that he just threw for 330 and 3 touchdowns against a Power 4 opponent. And I'm not sure Brady ever did that.
I don't know if he did. Also 30 for 39. Didn't really miss. Brady Cook, you knew you were due for one. Oh, wow, that should have been intercepted. You were due for a couple of those, due for an interception maybe. Bo didn't really do that. Even his misses were – I can't think of a throw he made where I was like, that should have been probably picked. I don't think he made one, which is impressive.
And I don't remember any ill-advised throws into triple coverage, which I think is an improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kansas may not be that good, who knows, but it is something to walk in to Missouri's locker room as Bo Perbula in your second game and have the responsibility of beating a rival that the fan base hates more than anybody. I mean, even if that Kansas team isn't great, the game itself is huge. And I think
100%.
there are different outcomes where Bo is, is maybe as good as he is just rattled or doesn't play well in these circumstances. And he did. So it's at least like for the entire offseason, Missouri fans have been wondering, like, first of all, who is our quarterback? Is it Sam Horn or is it Bo Perbula? And once we figure that out, how good is he? Is he going to be, is he going to limit this offense, this team, and what it can be and what its ceiling can be? Or is he going to contribute to, potentially another, maybe 10-win season with the schedule that they have? And I think that now you can at least exhale a little bit and say, I think we have a quarterback. I think Missouri has a quarterback that will be, is not going to lose games.
Certainly not.
Just on his, he's not going to be the sole reason for losing games, which is probably something that we worried about a little bit with two guys that are so experienced.
100% with you on that. And I think that's a huge milestone to get over. Even if he doesn't end up shaking out as a top half starter in the SEC, not having him be a bottom 3 or 4, I think is a huge, huge deal.
Yeah. Because, the SEC has good quarterbacks. So if you're competent, I mean, and we've seen this Missouri offense, their run game, which we'll talk about next. But, I mean, as long as you're competent, I think this Missouri offense can move at least a little bit. We've seen that. We've seen that they can beat you in a lot of ways. Let's talk about the rushing attack. Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts combined for, I think, over 250 yards rushing.
Yeah, I think each of them had 100 yards individually, which is very impressive. That's
the first time that's happened since 2017. I looked this up, and it was Ish Witter and Larry Roundtree III against Tennessee. So what do you think about Ahmad Hardy? We heard a lot about him. We had to kind of cover the very beginning of his tenure when he transferred here. It was a big deal because of how good he was at Louisiana Monroe as a true freshman. But what are your thoughts? I mean, this is a Missouri offense. Since Drinkwitz has been here, they've had a run game. They've had a running back that is really good, except for maybe last year. You have two guys that are pretty good, maybe, or Nate Noel was good. But it seems like this year you have Hardy, who seems to be as advertised, and then Jamal Roberts has taken a step. So what are your thoughts on this running game?
Yeah, I do want to go deeper into Ahmad Hardy, but we'll start with Jamal Roberts, who, by the way, just looked really great last week.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was a little concerned about him being the backup, especially after Kawan Lacey left, somebody who's looked very good in limited snaps with Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And that hurts to lose a guy like this, but I thought at the time that Hardy was probably a better back. And I think now that Hardy's definitely a better back. I want to give a shout out to a guest that you had on the program previously, Quentin Corpiel, who had a stat earlier this week talking about Ahmad Hardy, who's improved in yards per carry and yards after contact so far this season as compared to where he was at UL Monroe. And some of that has to do with playing behind the Mizzou offensive line, which is going to be better than Louisiana Monroe's, even if this is not the best offensive line Missouri has had by a long shot. But the fact that he's doing this against the much higher competition level than he was seeing at ULM, I think matters a lot. He's getting a lot of really good coaching from Curtis Looper, who I think is one of the best RB gurus in the country.
Yeah.
And just the drive that guy has is unbelievable. I mean, every single run, he gets hit in the backfield, bounces it, gets hit again, bounces it, picks up 3, 4, 5 yards. It's unbelievable. You just can't bring the guy down. It's striking to see in person.
Yeah, and even on some of those, I mean, I remember a couple runs that were counted as 0-yard runs where I was like, that should have been a loss of 2 or 3. And
Easily.
Yeah. I mean,
The amount of effort that you're getting out of him is frankly stellar. It's unbelievable.
He was fourth last year in forced missed tackles. He's first in the country this year. He already has 12 through 2 games. He had 44 all of last year, and he's already got 12. So,
he's going to shatter that number.
I think he might. Yeah. What about Roberts? Because I remember Roberts last year. It was kind of a joke. Like he would come in and he was a good pass blocker last year. I remember. And when he'd come in, we'd be like, all right, here comes a pass, because they've got to get him in there to protect Brady Cook a little bit. This year, and there were times where he ran the ball hard last year, and you could see at least flashes. But in this game against Kansas, it was he had, I think he only had 13 carries. Obviously, had 2 really big runs that changed the game for Missouri, but
very much so.
What are your thoughts on him, and how do you think Drinkwitz handles having 2 guys that seem to be really capable? To me, it's still clear that Hardy is the most talented guy in that backfield, but to have Roberts that ran for over 100 yards and a touchdown in a big game, how do you think Drinkwitz handles that?
Yeah, and Roberts, I think, is still going to stay in the game on a lot of passing downs. He is a very good pass blocker. But I think kind of opening up that different level to his game where you can hand it off to him and feel comfortable when you do hand it off to him, that opens up a lot for this offense, because now it's not every time you see Ahmad Hardy on the field, he's getting the football. Every time you see Jamal Roberts on the field, he's not getting the football. Now that you have a little bit of the ability to hand it off to him, it just keeps defense honest. They can't cheat as much. And when they have to stay honest, that's how you can hit them for big plays. I think that's something that really this team struggled with last year, was the big play ability. And I know that maybe there were a lot of people that struggled to put their fingers on exactly what was wrong with the offense last year, but that was a non-zero factor in it. And being able to diversify your play calling regardless of what personnel you have on the field, I think that's going to be a big step in the right direction for Kirby Moore and for Coach Drinkwitz.
Have we considered the possibility that Kirby Moore was hiding the offense, being coy with the offense all of last year, so Kansas is prepared this year?
I think we need to consider that. I think we have to take that into consideration.
Is it possible? Yeah. You talked about the offensive line a little bit. Much better than the Week 1 game against Central Arkansas.
Much better.
Especially
Caden Green looked phenomenal. Did you see his PFF grade?
Yep. He had a very high PFF grade. I think he allowed 0 pressures. Looked like a true left tackle, and I think his second – I don't know if he ever started a game at left tackle at Oklahoma. I don't remember.
I would have to go back and look. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know he started left tackle, at least some at North. So really potentially his second start ever at left tackle, which is a very difficult position to play. He looks much better. And you and I were texting about this throughout the fall, how Drinkwitz was kind of shaking up this offensive line, 2 weeks before the season started. And we're like, oh God, this cannot be good. But I think moving Caden Green over, at least for now, and that Kansas defensive line has some guys on it, and he handled it really well.
Definitely.
And then I still don't know how to say his name, admittedly. Dominic Giudice.
I thought it was Guidis going into the year, but that was not how it was pronounced by the PA announcer.
Well, he was. I'll figure that out. Yeah. But he was the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week, which was kind of surprising that wasn't Caden Green. But he also
I was surprised by that as well.
Keegan Trost had a couple. The right tackle, he had a couple not great reps, but he also fell on that fumble that Ahmad Hardy had, and that was a big moment in the game.
Mm-hmm. That's something. 2 thoughts on that. First of all, that's something that Ahmad Hardy has had problems with in the past, and looks like will kind of be a problem this season. As explosive as he is, as well as he runs the ball just pops out a lot. And a lot of times it's after he hits the ground, after the play's already dead. But through 2 weeks, we've seen 4 or 5 times that the ball has come out from Hardy. And I think that is something that gives me a little bit of pause. If there's any concern about him, that's what it is.
That's it.
My second thought about it is on the offensive line, and that's that in week 1, they looked like a unit that had not played together.
Mm-hmm.
And they've played a lot of football. You've got transfers from Michigan. You've got transfers from West Virginia. You've got a lot of guys that have played a lot of football in that room in the offensive line. They just hadn't worked together as a unit yet going into that Central Arkansas game. I think you could tell that they learned a lot from that game, and I think they improved a lot this last week because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel a lot better about him than I did a week ago right now, especially. I mean, the left tackle position is just crucial.
Yeah. I mean, you're the trench guy. Tell me how to feel about it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I like the, I mean, to me, Caden Green always was, he profiled more to me as a tackle. And so I feel good that he's out there, and I feel good that he had a good week. I mean, I remember I did a story about him and I was talking to his dad, and he was like, you know, if he's a guard or if he's a tackle, I guarantee you he'll be an All-American. And I was like, well, you know, I think he's definitely has the physical capabilities to do that. And
Definitely.
I mean, he always just looked like a tackle to me. So I'm glad that it's working out there, and having your anchor be Connor Tollison, who's played a ton of football with Missouri. That's another thing that I feel good about.
Absolutely.
I think the right side of the offensive line is going to be the biggest question mark, because you have Curtis Piegler there, who hasn't started a bunch of games. I think that was actually his second start, maybe.
Yeah, and he's a 5th year or 6th year with this program, something like that.
Yeah, and then you have Trost on the right side, who's played a lot of football, but you know, we'll see about him. I don't know. I was
a lot of football, but not here in Columbia.
Not here, yeah. I was encouraged by it because for Kansas defense's drawbacks, they do have a good defensive line, and I think Missouri handled that pretty well. I want to talk about the receivers, and then we'll get into the defense. But the receivers, to me, this is outside of maybe Bo. To me, this has been the most exciting and encouraging sign, because you lose your top 2 guys in Burden and good God, help me out.
Theo Weiss.
Theo Weiss, good God. Theo
Weiss.
That guy. Yeah, just one of the best Missouri receivers in the past couple of years. But you lose those 2 guys to the NFL, and you got a bunch of young guys coming in, or not coming in, but stepping up. You got like Josh Manning, Marquise Johnson, increased roles. You bring in Kevin Coleman Jr., who was excellent at Mississippi State last year, and then this Olubide guy, a true freshman. And all of them are really playing well. And then you add in Brett Norfleet, who hurdled another man on Saturday, which is another running joke in the press box last year.
It really is.
Every time he had the ball, he jumped over another human.
You know, Wendell, I was standing next to our good friend Wendell Shepard watching the game. And after that hurdle happened, he turned to me and said, all right, now we just need our government mandated trip to the blue tent, and he'll have his checkbox completed for the game.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. How is Wendell?
Yes.
He's
doing well. He's doing well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
To your point about the riches that this room has, there was a guy last year who was a true freshman that we didn't see hardly any of, but we kind of thought when he was being recruited that he was going to be the next big receiver for the Missouri Tigers. His name was James Madison. Mm-hmm. Have you heard anything about James Madison this year?
The Prez. No, I haven't heard anything about James Madison.
I don't think anyone is, and anyone has heard about him at all. And I think that speaks to the amount of depth that's in this wide receiver room, that somebody like him that was such a highly touted prospect gets, you hesitate to say it, but almost lost in the shuffle along with your, Donovan and along with Sean Terry as freshmen. Obviously, you bring in Coleman as a transfer. Like, there is just so much talent in this receiver room. Daniel Blood still getting touches.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of guys there. There's a lot of guys there. And I feel confident about almost every single one of them suiting up and taking time on the field.
Yeah. Daniel Blood had a couple big moments in that game too. Yeah. I don't know. Let me see if I can find, I'm on PFF right now. Yeah. He has, let me find this one. He's taken one snap. And I guess that was probably in the Central Arkansas game.
The Central Arkansas game. If I had to bet, that's probably correct.
That is certainly odd, and I really hadn't thought about that because of how much more you have. Even Xavier Lloyd, I think, came from Illinois State. He was he's even in there more than James Madison. So I don't know what's happened to our president, but he's not out there right now. And yeah, I think you're right. That speaks to the larger point of like this is a very deep unit that so far has been pretty impressive to me, especially we knew Kevin Coleman Jr. was going to be good.
He's been real good.
Really good, yeah. And then the other impressive thing about this unit is the way they've been run blocking. I talked about this on Monday, I believe, but the 3 highest graded run blockers for this Missouri team in Kansas game were, I think it was Marquise Johnson, Josh Manning, and another receiver, one of the other big time receivers that they have. So they're blocking well. I've been impressed with their hands. They've not made too many. I can't really think of any egregious drops outside of there was that one where Prebula hit Marquise Johnson on a play action. It kind of bounced off his helmet. But other than that, I think the receivers haven't had any drop issues. They've looked really good to me. And then, of course, your true freshman, Donovan, from Florida, who, he's been kind of a revelation. He looks like he's going to be maybe the future guy in that room.
Yeah, definitely. I don't remember a freshman really breaking through and breaking out like this at this school with this much talent since Luther, frankly. Yeah. And I know that's a very high level of talent to live up to.
Right.
But parallels are there. I will say on the run blocking sets that you mentioned very briefly, I don't know if you saw this quote from Drinkwitz, but he had a very good quote about that in his presser yesterday. And he was talking about how the wide receivers had gotten together to watch one of the Bears preseason games. And they were watching Luther, and they were watching how he pass blocked. And I think that was kind of like a watershed moment for them where they realized really this is something that we as a receiver room can take a lot of pride in, and it's going to help our team. And in turn, that's going to allow us to get more touches. Like this is something that we just need to really focus on. And since then, Drinkwitz said that week in practice was a huge improvement. And I think a lot of those guys have kind of taken that into these first 2 weeks of games, as you mentioned. Those pass blocking numbers speak for themselves. Run blocking numbers, rather.
Absolutely. And Luther was a really good example of that because he was a guy, especially last year, that should have gotten the ball a lot more than he did. And he still was really unselfish in run blocking. That's something 100%. I sort of noticed last year. I found my notes on it. The other guy, so the 3 highest graded run blockers were Joshua Manning, Marquise Johnson, and Kevin Coleman Jr. So pretty much your top 3 receivers are all your 3 highest graded run blockers. I think that's pretty impressive.
That's what you want. That's what you want.
There's they've been saying something on Twitter. If you don't block, you don't get the rock or something. I like that.
There you go.
You mentioned our running backs coach, our receivers coach, Jacob Peeler, another one of the best assistants in the country, I think. And
absolutely.
He was with Ole Miss with DK Metcalf and AJ Brown, and now he's here.
Yep. And Elijah Moore at that point as well, I believe.
Yep, you're right. Okay, let's do the defense now a little bit before I let you go. Give me your thoughts on this defense. I watched this. I rewatched their snaps yesterday, and some things I liked. I'll start with that. I still think this defensive line is really good. I like what this line's doing.
Agreed.
I think your defensive tackles are Marquise Graciela has emerged, and it feels like he's for maybe 2 years now. I felt like Drinkwitz has always mentioned him as a guy that's coming, and it seems like he's here now. And obviously you have Chris McClellan there too, and then Sterling Webb, the transfer, who didn't play a ton last year for Missouri, but he's in there a lot now. He's been good. So the defensive tackles I like, the edge rushers I like, Damon Wilson and Zion Young and Darius Smith. The linebackers I think are a pretty deep unit. I mean, I think we saw some Nicholas Rodriguez last year, more than I thought.
A lot more than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing. You have Tristan Newsom, the guy that I really liked last year. He's back, and then this Josiah Trotter guy has been pretty impressive as well. So I think overall I like the depth of the front seven. There are definitely some problems, but for me, the concern right now is the secondary. And I want to hear, and you can talk about what you like, and then we'll talk about the secondary. But what are your thoughts on this defense?
Yeah, no, I think I'm aligned with you on basically every single point there. I mean, the defensive line is the strength of this team. Specifically, the edge rushers have been incredibly impressive to me.
Damon Wilson is as advertised so far.
As advertised, absolutely. I've been impressed with Darius Smith. I've been very impressed with Zion Young. I think he has improved a lot since last season. Not that he was bad last season, but I think he's improved a lot. If Missouri is going to win games, that D-line is going to be a major factor into doing that. The linebackers, I think, have left a little bit to be desired, especially when they're playing kind of a more pro-style cover two shell. The middle of the field seems to be open a lot. That was something that Jalen Daniel was taking a lot of advantage of and hitting his tight end, his 13th year tight end who's 47 and has a mortgage. Kansas has those little 5 or 7 yard dump passes over the middle of the field. Go ahead.
That Kansas team has to be the oldest team. Jalen Daniels and that Hanukkah kid, not kids.
It's ridiculous.
They're grown men. Good Lord. They've been around forever. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of when people that have already graduated college will still buy a rec pass to play intramural sports. So what are we doing here? Anyway, I think the coverage in the middle of the field has left a little bit to be desired.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think the issue with that is because you are so thin with the defensive back room, you're asking some of these linebackers to do a little bit more in coverage than maybe they're comfortable doing. And again, that falls more on the defensive backs. I have always been a defender of Drayden Norwood. I think he's very talented despite his size limitations. Toriano Pride, I think, has shown flashes, but he's not somebody that I feel good about being on the field consistently. Yeah. And past that, the
cornerbacks
it's just a very thin defensive back room.
Yeah, it is, especially the cornerbacks. They brought in Stephen Hall from Washington State, and he's played a pretty good amount. I don't know how good he's been, but he's at least playing. Let me see if I can find his.
They brought in the UNLV kid whose name escapes me right now.
Jalen Catalon, the safety.
Catalon, I've been impressed with. I like him a lot. I think he will play on Sundays next season.
Yes, he is an All-American, I think, for UNLV, and that was a pretty big get. He's old as hell too.
That is true. That is true.
I should. He's old, but yeah, he's good. Stephen Hall's played both games. He's 46 snaps. One thing, do you remember last year there was a while where we were seeing a ton of Nick DeLoach. He was he was almost going to take over as one of the two starters, and he may have briefly, but he's only played in one game for 13 snaps, so he's kind of disappeared. So
no offense to Nick DeLoach, but I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I probably agree with you. It just feels like you're super thin there. Your safeties, you're bringing back Dalen Carnell and Marvin Burks Jr., who both started for a couple of years now at Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add Catalan in, who is impressive and is a very, very experienced player. But even Burks, I like Burks. He's pretty physical. But he does have he makes mistakes. Like on that first Kansas touchdown, he got totally lost. And
yeah,
Darnell is another guy.
Darnell got burned a couple times in coverage as well, but he's also somebody that you don't want in coverage. And if he is dropping back into coverage, something's probably gone wrong.
Yeah, he was manned up at times with guys who just blew right by him. But you at least are experienced there. But the cornerback situation is one that I don't know what to say. I mean, I think Toronto Pride has looked better than he did last year so far. And not that I'm saying he's looked great, but he's looked better. And I agree with you. Drayden Norwood is your best guy in that room for sure. But even if those two guys are really good, say they're much improved and they're good, I'm talking about Drayden Norwood and Toronto Pride, just say they make huge steps from last year, you still are missing your third nickel guy. I mean, who do you feel comfortable about playing there? I guess Stephen Hall is the idea.
I guess
to be your third guy, but I mean, we'll see if he's not been fantastic.
Yeah.
His coverage grade is quite poor in PFF, but
there's some guys waiting in the rings, like a CJ Bass comes to mind as somebody that could be next up, maybe next season or something like that. But as of this year, there's no reinforcements coming, and I think the secondary might be a headache as the season goes on.
Yeah.
I want to pose a question to you. You've been asking questions to me this whole time. I want to turn the mic around on you a little bit and ask a question that, again, we're looping back to something that Wendell said to me on Saturday.
Okay.
Look around this defense, and the Missouri defense has had multiple draft picks in each of the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Has had draft picks in 3 straight seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the draft picks on this defense?
This year's picks? I mean, I think your best bet is Damon Wilson.
I would agree.
Because he's physically, he's everything you want out of an edge rusher in the NFL. He's fast. I think that's your best bet. Outside of him, I don't know. Is it Zion Young? Is he good enough to? I'm sure someone will take a look at him.
Catalan, I think, gets drafted. I think that
you're right.
At some point, Trotter will get drafted. It won't be this year because he still has another year before he's draft eligible.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't shock to see Dalen Carnell drafted either.
Yeah, I agree.
But even that's like a day 3 guy.
Mm-hmm.
The talent on this defense is just not what it has been in the prime of the Blake Baker era, and even last year in the first year under Corey Batoon. Without as much talent as they had last year, I'll be interested to see if Batoon can still turn this into a very productive defense once the meat of the SEC starts coming to Columbia.
Yeah, I think one thing, outside of kind of the secondary, one thing you have more so than you have last year is depth in the front 7, which I mean, that's at least something that he can play with. I also noticed he's blitzing more, I think, at least in the Kansas game, and maybe that's because you have to deal with Jalen Daniels, but he blitzed at a pretty decent clip. So I'm curious to see that as well. And yeah, I agree. I think Catalan's a draft pick. I think Carnell likely is a draft pick. And then, but Damon Wilson is for me the guy who, he feels like an NFL type of player.
Completely agree.
I'm looking through. I'm scrolling on our the defense's PFF page. Are you familiar with a man on Missouri's defensive line named Jaden Frick?
I am not.
I have never heard this name ever, and he is a defensive lineman.
Okay.
He's played for Missouri, and I am trying to figure out who this guy is. He's played 2 snaps. And I've never.
This gentleman is not even listed on the roster on our lads. I'm not familiar with Mr. Jaden Frick. I apologize.
Okay. I can't figure it out. I feel like I do my best to keep up with recruiting and everything, and I just don't know if I know this man. I don't know.
Sophomore defensive tackle out of Orlando, Florida.
All right. Well,
he on his bio on the Mizzou football website does not even list that he had any stars coming out of high school. Okay. So I would wonder if this is perhaps maybe a walk-on who was elevated last game and maybe saw some special team snaps.
Yeah, I think that's probably correct. Preferred walk-on situation. All right, you've been very generous with your time. I just have one more kind of point we can talk about, and then I'll let you go.
Please.
Again, Adam has real work to be doing.
I'm very, very busy today.
You're a very busy man. All right, it's been 2 games, and I hate to get into the hypotheticals and predictions stuff because it's just like so early and we haven't seen enough. But overall, how are you feeling about this team? We'll say, like, what's your temperature check? What do you feel like? What are your, if they've changed since the beginning of the year, what do your expectations look like now for the rest of the season?
I feel a lot better about this team than I did going into the year. I think going into the year, if you had to rate my confidence level out of 10, I would have given this team a 6. And now I think they're up to an 8, 7 or an 8. And a lot of that comes down to how good the quarterback play has been. Bo has looked as good as advertised, better than advertised, as we spent a lot of time talking about earlier on in the season. Mm-hmm. I think that Missouri is especially comfortable in allowing him to be kind of reckless and allowing him to kind of take the training wheels off and run the offense. And I'm happy about that. I think maybe the reason that that's the case is because they can't really settle for field goals right now because you kind of don't have a kicker. So you kind of have to, in nature, have your offense, call your offense a little bit more aggressively. And that's working so far. That's been something that I've wanted us to do for years now. Mm-hmm. I think now that we're actually seeing that happen, I feel good about this team. Yeah. I think going into the year, I would have been happy with a 8-win season, a 9-win season, maybe grab a bowl game. Now I think 10 wins and a playoff spot, I think are both very realistic.
Yeah, extremely realistic. Yeah, I agree. I guess we didn't talk about Robert Meyer. I wonder if this is somehow going to be a blessing in disguise where you start
to kind of feel the same way.
Missouri offense.
I'll tell you what, it's going to make Missouri a lot more watchable for the casual fan. Maybe not for you and me, who's living and dying with every play, but for somebody that's just tuning in, they're going to be going for like 5 or 6 fourth downs a game, and that's fun to watch.
Yeah. How much fun was it for you? I mean, we weren't really able to be fans last year, so
correct.
Being in the stands. How much fun was that for you, getting to root for Missouri again?
It's weird, man. It's so weird. I was I was thinking about it the other day when they were playing the fight song, and I could sing along. And they did the Missouri Waltz, my favorite tradition in sports. They're doing the Missouri Waltz, and I could throw the hands up and sway along. It's been too long, man. It's been too long.
Awesome. I mean, we were conditioned last year, no cheering at all.
Absolutely not.
I caught myself cheering in the Central Arkansas game, and I'm like, golly, this is this is fun. I forgot you could
Last year we were all in on Mizzou basketball. Mizzou football was strictly business.
Yeah. And I couldn't quite get myself to full fan out for the baseball team, but
I wonder why.
But basketball, I was with it. We were having fun, and it's good to be a fan again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A piece of advice that I would give any prospective journalist trying to get into the field professionally: cover a team that you don't care to root for.
Yeah,
so much more fun that way.
Yeah. I think that's true. I mean, it was tough I remember even sometimes in the press box last year where I would just let out and I had to do something. I remember the South Carolina game. I don't think you were there.
I was not. I had a wedding that day.
It was the one-handed catch to Luther, which should have been the game-winning touchdown, sending the Tigers to the playoffs. This Brady Cook to Luther Burden touchdown, I let out like a little yelp, and our friend Amelia had looked at me and was like, "You better tone it down, or you're going to get in some trouble."
Gonna kick you out like they did with that guy in the A&M press box.
Yeah. No cheering allowed. Well, it's fun to watch this team and root for them again. Adam, I appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your very busy schedule. And I would love to have you.
Let's do this again sometime soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have you back on throughout the season to kind of get an update on where things stand in your brain.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
I'm happy you're doing this podcast. Selfishly, I was missing getting my Davis Wilson content, so now I'm getting it, every week, and I'm excited for that. I'm very excited.
Good. Yeah, I appreciate you supporting it. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited to be doing it, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. Thanks again for coming on, and thanks for everybody for listening. I'm doing this every day somehow. Someday I'm gonna run out of things to talk about, but come back tomorrow. I'll be talking something, probably start previewing Louisiana. But again, this is All in Mizzou. I'm Davis Wilson. Thank you to Rogue Media for letting me do this, and have a good Wednesday.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.